Today we're going to be taking a look at a product that I purchased for the purpose of this review. So I picked up the Dead Goat Conversion Kit, and I'm calling it a conversion kit because while you can get the combo kit, if you just order the Dead Goat Conversion Kit, the only thing that you're going to get with it is the top cap and the rebuildable base that screws into the deck of the original Goat RDA. So first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a look at the combo kit since I did buy that, though I also do have the original Goat RDA that I reviewed, and I will include a link right up there in the corner, so if you want you can go watch the original Goat RDA review that I did. So if you pick up the Dead Goat combo kit, which comes with the rebuildable deck, you are going to get the Goat RDA's original top cap section and the base with rebuildable heads, as well as the pre-installed non-rebuildable goat heads. So since I've already reviewed the Goat RDA, I'm not going to unbox this one any further. I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway for the Dead Goat combo kit later. Watch till the end of the review for that. What I am going to do is go ahead and grab the Dead Goat conversion kit or accessory kit, not sure what you'd really want to call it. I wouldn't call it an RDA because if you do buy just the Dead Goat package, which is $30 versus the combo kit, which is $50, the conversion kit only comes with the top cap and the rebuildable base. Let's go ahead and open that up real quick. So in that little plastic baggie, this is how it comes, and it's going to come with a Dead Goat sticker. And then in the second baggie is going to be your cap and the rebuildable deck. So taking a look at the top caps, I will go ahead and hold up the OG Goat RDA with the Dead Goat RDA top cap so we can compare. So looking at them side by side, there are some dimensions of the top cap that are slightly different. As you can see on the top of this one here, it is more rounded and lower versus the original Goat RDA. The 810 drip tips are exactly the same, so you're going to get identical 810 drip tips with the new Dead Goat cap as that you had with the original Goat RDA. Flipping them over to the side, this is where you see a really big difference as well. This is going to be a very different airflow system on the Dead Goat versus the original Goat. The original Goat had these dual Cylon styled airflow slots on either side. The airflow is set very low. On the Dead Goat, you have much higher snake bite styled airflow holes. So you have 10 airflow holes, and they kind of have this curve pattern to them, and they're angled downwards. So they're cut at an angle downwards. And flipping it over, same thing on the other side. Going ahead and looking on the inside of the top cap, let's go ahead and remove the Goat top cap here. Taking a look at the inside of the barrels, this is the original Goat RDA top cap. Here is the Dead Goat top cap. Comparing them side by side, they are very similar on the inside as far as the dome shape. However, the Dead Goat is slightly larger in diameter than the original Goat cap. So the original Goat cap is 24 millimeters in diameter, and the Dead Goat cap is 25 millimeters in diameter. Go ahead and set the Goat to the side. The airflow adjustment on the Dead Goat, you just simply turn this little top cap here, and it's going to close off the airflow 2 by 2. So you're going to come across just like this. If we go ahead and we pop that top piece out here, you can see how that airflow control works there. So you got two very long side walls here, and that's going to cover the side of the airflow there. Now this cap, just like the original Goat cap, is not locking. So the RDA itself does not have a locking cap, and that's so is that no matter where you position this cap, you are able to center that airflow over the coils. While I would love to have seen a locking feature, because of the original style of the Goat, the way that those removable decks come out and the fact that you can't really make the threads stop at the same point every time means that you're not going to be able to implement a locking top cap. However, with it free moving, you are able to always adjust your airflow to center on your coils, which is a good thing. So let's go ahead and set the top cap to the side, and let's take a look at the rebuildable deck. So inside the baggie, you do have the rebuildable deck base and a regular studded 510 pin. So what does that mean? That means that there is a squonk pin pre-installed on this rebuildable deck. So again, comparing the two posts, we're going to take the original goat non-rebuildable post, and we're going to take the new rebuildable dead goat posts, and we're going to compare them. Flipping them over to the bottom, you'll see that they're very similar, and that's because they both thread into the original goat base. However, with the previous one, there was no way to remove that squonking pin there. It is a solid one-piece non-removable unit. With the rebuildable unit, you're actually able to take an Allen key and remove that center squonk pin and add in a regular studded 510, and that's going to allow you to use this in both squonking mode or regular mode. The reason why they implemented a studded 510 is because, unlike with the original post, this one's e-liquid comes in on the sides below where your coils sit and below where your cotton sits, or where your cotton sits, I should say. So because of the position of the squonk holes, the fact that e-liquid could possibly travel into those holes and out, they went ahead and added the ability to put a studded 510 in so that you seal up that hole and do not risk any leaking into your mod. That's a great idea, and I'm really glad that they implemented that. So here is the original goat base, and as I said, the rebuildable post here goes into the goat base just like all of the other ones. Just going to go ahead and put it in and give it a turn, and you're going to screw down that post. Now if we flip it over to look at the bottom of the deck, you will see that this does still have a squonking pin. However, if you install that studded 510 into the post here, you are going to remove the squonking ability from it. So the name lends itself to the dead rabbit in the post styles here. So we do have the dead goat, which is going to be the rebuildable dead rabbit post style. So you have these two long blocks. You have your positive block here on this side with a terminal on each, and then you have your negative block on this side with a terminal on each. So you're going to be able to do dual coil, sitting your coils in this direction here, or you could even do single coil on this if you really wished. Though I will say, because of the size of this RDA and the amount of airflow on it, I would only do dual coil, and that's what I'm going to do today, is go ahead and put a dual coil build. If we flip it over here, you are going to see this is where you accessed the screws for your posts. So you have a screw on this side, turning it over, we have a screw here. Now one thing I do like about this is, while even though it's the dead rabbit, there is far less space under here to clip your leads than what was on the original dead rabbit RDA. But because you can remove this post, it's not a big deal. I can go ahead and just remove this post just like this, and I can install my coils and clip my leads like this. Or if I want, I can pre-cut them and install them with the post installed. So either way will work fine. If you're somebody that doesn't want to pre-cut your leads before dropping them in because you're worried you'll cut them too short, you can always remove this post and install the coils without the post installed on the base of the RDA first. I'm going to go ahead and screw this down on an atomizer stand, and we're going to go ahead and install some coils. So I'm not sure if you can see down in there, but those grub screws are flathead, so I'm just going to take a flathead screwdriver, and this one is too big. Those post holes are not very big, so you're not going to be able to use a beefier flathead screwdriver. So what I'm going to go ahead and grab is my Coil Master, because Coil Master is nice and small, and this fits in just fine if you have a Coil Master screwdriver. Coils that I'm going to be using today are KB Coils. On Instagram, you can find him at KB Coils. These are going to be Aliens, 3x26 gauge, outer wrap 36 gauge, 5 wraps, 3 millimeters, and they should ohm out to about 0.1 ohm, and these are Nichrome 80 coils. And then, since I don't really mind pre-cutting my leads because I have a handy little tool for it, I'm going to go ahead and grab my coily tool, and I'm going to measure out how thick those blocks are. I'm just going to hold my coily tool up to those posts and see how deep they are. So I'm going to go at about a 4 millimeter. Now I'm not going to raise these coils up super high. That's why I used my coily tool to measure out how deep that block is. I could actually go a 3.5, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use a 3.5 on the coily tool because I want those coils sitting rather low to the post because of the long travel down the sides to the bottom of the juice well that my wicks are going to have to make. I don't want to add any longer wick than I have to. So I went ahead and clipped both my legs to 3.5 millimeters, and now I'm just going to go ahead and let them drop right down into those terminals. So now that both my coils are dropped into those terminals, I'm just going to place my finger on top, holding them in place, and tighten down the leads. And I will say to be careful when you're tightening down your leads, not to over tight to the point where you clip the wires. You just want to snug them up. Now we've tightened down the leads. Now we can go ahead and take our coiling tool and we can straighten out those coils. And I'm also going to lift up on them. So I don't want the coil actually resting on the block of that post. So I'm going to just pull up slightly on them. Same thing on this side. I'm going to go ahead and just pull up as I straighten them out. And I'm also going to lean my coils out. Now I don't want them to go past that block, though I do have some space on either side. I'm just going to lean them out to where they're sitting pretty much flush with those blocks. So here we go. As you can see, the outside edge of my coil is kind of sitting flush with that block, and I still have plenty of room that it's not going to touch my top cap on either side. So you can really lean those out pretty far and be safe and not be grounding them out on your top cap at all. So if I lean it to the side there, you can see where my coils are sitting. So my coil is pretty, if you see it moving there, that's not my coil moving, that's the base, because I haven't tightened it all the way down. But you can see the very top rows of holes line up right there with the top of my coil. Same thing on the other side. The top row there lines up, and since they're angled down, that airflow is not going to be shooting over top of my coils. It's going to be angled down and hitting directly on my coils, and that very bottom row there is actually going to be hitting below my coils a little bit. So I'm going to lose a little bit of that direct airflow onto those coils because some of that airflow is going to be going at the very bottom and underneath those coils. But as long as that top row is hitting my coil, I'm very happy with that. Since this base is in squonk mode, I went ahead and screwed it down onto a squonk mod, and now I'm just going to go ahead and lower my wattage and dry burn my coils a little bit just to pulse them and make sure I get all the hot spots out. Okay, so they are dry burned nice and evenly. They're heating from the inside out with no hot spots. From now we're ready to let it cool down and put some wicks in there. I'm just going to be using some cotton threads to wick these up just for time. It makes it much more quicker and easier using cotton threads. I do like cotton threads. I use them a lot. So I went ahead and pulled my wicks through the coils. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim my cotton. So with this one, you do have to leave your tails pretty long because of the distance from the coil down to the deck. This is a squonking atomizer. I have it in squonk mode, so I do want to make sure that the e-liquid gets to travel up my wicks. So to do that, I want to make sure that my wicks are long and they travel to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just bend my wick down, and I'm going to cut that wick to where that second O-ring, so the O-ring closest to the top lip is where I'm going to cut those wicks. So I'm just going to place my scissors right there next to that O-ring, give my cotton a clip, and then I can go ahead and lift up the other one and cut it even with that one. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to bend that wick down, go ahead and give it a clip, then I'm going to lift up, clip my other one, same thing. So pretty long cotton there, which if you are a fan of the dead rabbit or you own the dead rabbit, then you know that the dead rabbit wicked the exact same way. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fluff out and thin out my cotton just a little bit. Don't have to thin it out too much, but I'm just going to make sure that all of the strands are going in the same direction, removing any like clumps or bulk that I might have there. Not too much, just on the ends. I'm just thinning up the ends. I'm not pulling from up here next to my coil. I don't want to thin out the cotton on the inside of my coil because loose cotton will cause popping and spit back. So I'm just thinning out the ends. Then I'm going to go ahead and trim out that excess that I thinned. So there we go. There is the wicking on the dead goat RDA there. So you can see right here there is a squonk hole. And as I was tucking my cotton, I kind of saw a missed opportunity. I would have loved to see them have been able to drill the hole this direction. Now, I'm not really sure if that's possible. I haven't taken apart this rebuildable base to see how those two posts are held in, or if seams would be a problem with squonking. But what would have been really awesome is if instead of having the squonk hole here where the cotton isn't, is if they could have had the squonk hole on this side of the post. Maybe like a little inset, little squonk hole. I think it would have been really cool to be able to squirt that e-liquid right out into your cotton. Though, like I said, I'm not a designer. I don't know if that's really possible, but it would have been awesome if that was something that could have been done, just because it would have directed that e-liquid to hit your cotton. And in this situation, this type of RDA with this type of post style, we are going to be heavily relying on ciliary action for the e-liquid to travel all the way up those long wicks to the coils. Let's go ahead and give it a squonk. So right away you can see that e-liquid flooding out into the sides of those juice wells. Go ahead and line up that cap here. Place it down on there. Now if I can squonk, I squonk a little bit deeper. I still want to be a little careful of those airflow holes, but I can definitely squonk it all the way to the top, as you can see. And I do have a little bit of e-liquid that's sitting inside those air holes. But as you can see, e-liquid's not running out. Look on both sides. I don't want to tip it too much, but look on both sides. E-liquid's not running out. And when you do squonk it that high up, obviously there are holes for the e-liquid to travel back into. So you're not going to over squonk to the point where you're flooding it. However, there is a certain, height that e-liquid no longer will draw back into the bottle because of the inlets for the e-liquid being up higher. So I am still have a bit of e-liquid down there. I do still have a bit of e-liquid down there in the bottom of the juice well that if I tip it to the side here, you can see it coming up to that cotton. But even with squonking it all the way, just like that, so you can really give it a really good hearty squonk without it leaking when the e-liquid is cold. So that's a big one. While I'm showing you this, no, it's not leaking. But the e-liquid I'm using is a 70 or 80 VG, and it's cold right now. So the viscosity is pretty thick. Now, once you're vaping on this RDA and everything heats up and you're holding the squonk mod in your hand, the temperature of that e-liquid is going to raise, and that's going to thin it out. It's not going to be as viscous. So the thinner your e-liquid gets, the easier that e-liquid will come out of those airflow holes. However, they are at an angle downward and you shouldn't have too much trouble. And that is the dead goat. Let's go back up top, have a vape on it, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. And that was an up-close look at the dead goat RDA. So what are my thoughts? Well, I'm going to keep it short and simple since that download was so long. I really wanted to do the comparison between the OG goat and, of course, this new upgrade, the dead goat. So talking about fit and finish on this, fit and finish gets an A+ for me. Everything as far as the way everything was machined and the finish on it, everything in the box was really good. Next pro on this is going to be the airflow. The snake bite airflow on here makes this airflow really super smooth. I'll go ahead and let you listen to it wide open. Really smooth, flavorful clouds. lots of airflow. Now, because it is a series of tiny holes, it does give a little bit of restriction to you to where you don't feel like you're just breathing in air. You actually feel like you have to pull a little bit, and I like that. Let me go ahead and close it down. I'm going to close it down to 6 holes so that you can hear what it sounds like when it's partially closed down. And I do have to go ahead and reline up my airflow for when I close it down here. We'll go ahead and let you hear it with 6 holes open. Again, super smooth, but it restricts it down, and that's about where I like it. I like my direct lung to be nice and restricted, and it bumps up that flavor quite a bit. If I go ahead and restrict it down to 4 holes, gives you a really super restrictive pull. However, the build that I have in here is a 0.1 ohm build, and I'm vaping it at 75 watts, so that really isn't enough airflow on those coils, and I can really feel it getting really hot. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that back up. As far as mouth to lung, let me go ahead and throw it down to 2 holes for you. You're not going to mouth the lung on this RDA at all, but I do think that the airflow is really good wide open, and then cut down to 6 holes. I really don't go past cutting it down to 6 holes open, just again because of the type of build I have in there. Now, talking about flavor, I did mention that I do get good flavor on this. I especially get better flavor when I restrict it down to 6 holes. Now, as far as a flavor gauge, I have other RDAs that I prefer for flavor. This is one of those RDAs that it does good at flavor, great at airflow, and of course it has the Dead Rabbit styled rebuildable deck in there. So it is an A+ addition to the GOAT for people that wanted to be able to build on it. However, if you're somebody that already has an RDA that you really love the flavor on that RDA, I don't know that this RDA is really going to add anything for you. If you have the GOAT RDA and you really want to start building, this definitely adds to the GOAT RDA. I like the airflow on this one better than the GOAT RDA. The flavor on it, I would say, is very similar. I really don't notice a big flavor difference between vaping the regular GOAT RDA with the non-rebuildable coil heads versus the rebuildable coil head with this new airflow cap. But the airflow on it is a big improvement for me and the way that I like to vape. So that's my thoughts on the Dead GOAT RDA. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, click that subscribe button. And until next time, you guys, bye-bye.